My family forced me to babysit every holiday because I don't have kids, so IT doesn't matter, but when I lost my apartment nobody would offer me a place to crash. For a week later they dumped their kids at my new place, so I hit them with a reality check. I never thought I'd be homeless because of my family. But after they left me sleeping in my car, they tried to use me as a free babysitter once more. And that's when something inside me finally broke. My hands are still shaking, even now, thinking about yesterday. But you know what? I don't feel a single ounce of guilt. For 7 long years, I've been the designated family babysitter. I'm Emily, I'm 29, and my older sister, Olivia, she's 34 and has 3 kids, Chloe, 9, Mia, 6, and little Leo, 4. My brother, David, 32, has twin boys, Noah and Ethan, who are 7. Every holiday, every birthday, every family gathering, even just random weekends when someone needed a break, I was expected to watch all 5 kids. Everyone else would be enjoying themselves, and I'd be stuck. Thanksgiving? I'd be in the kids' room with chicken nuggets while my family ate prime rib in the dining room. Christmas? Upstairs, doing damage control, while they exchanged gifts and drank wine by the fireplace. 4th of July? I missed the fireworks 3 years in a row because someone had to keep the kids from running into the street. The excuse was always the same: you don't have kids, so it doesn't really matter for you. We need this time to actually relax and enjoy the holiday. I'll admit, I went along with it for way too long. I told myself I was being a good aunt, that family helps family, and maybe they had a point. Their lives were chaotic with school schedules and tantrums and never-ending laundry. Mine was quieter. I work as a freelance graphic designer, my schedule's flexible, which, apparently, meant my time was worthless. But here's the thing nobody seemed to care about: I loved my life. I had friends, hobbies, and a dating life I actually enjoyed. I'd spent years building a career that let me work from anywhere, and I was proud of my little one-bedroom apartment in a walk-up building in downtown Los Angeles. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. Everything changed 6 months ago when my landlord decided to sell the building. I had 60 days to find a new place, which should have been fine. Except the rental market in Los Angeles had become absolutely insane. Studios were going for what I used to pay for a 2-bedroom. I applied to 14 different apartments and got rejected from every single one because landlords were running credit checks like they were screening for the CIA. And I had one stupid medical bill from 2 years ago that I'd forgotten about, sitting in collections. I was desperate. My deadline was approaching fast, and I still hadn't found anything. The only option I had left was asking my family if I could crash somewhere for a week, maybe 2 at most, just until I found something. I wasn't asking for a free ride forever. I had money saved for deposits and first month's rent. I just needed a temporary landing spot. I called Olivia first. She has a 4-bedroom house in San Clemente with a finished basement that has a full bathroom. I'd stayed there before, so I knew the space existed. "Oh, sweetie, I wish I could help," she said, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. "But with the kids' schedules and David's basketball practices, we just don't have the bandwidth for a house guest right now." "You understand?" I understood. I understood that the same basement where I'd slept during Christmas, the same house where I'd watched her kids countless times, was suddenly unavailable when I needed it. I tried David next. He and his wife, Isabella, have a 3-bedroom house with an entire guest room that his mother-in-law uses maybe twice a year. "Man, that's rough," David said. But Isabella is really particular about her space. And honestly, with the twins, everything is just chaos all the time. "It wouldn't be comfortable for you." Comfortable for me? As if I'd spent comfortable nights sleeping on their couch during Super Bowl parties, watching Noah and Ethan so they could actually enjoy the game with their friends. I even asked my parents. They'd downsized to a 2-bedroom condo, but they had a sleeper sofa in the living room. My mom actually laughed. "Honey, your father and I are finally enjoying our retirement. We love you, but we're not running a halfway house. You're almost 30. You'll figure it out. I wanted to scream. I wanted to remind her of every single time I'd rearranged my life for this family. Every missed date, every declined invitation from friends, every holiday I'd spent wiping noses and breaking up fights while they all pretended I wasn't sacrificing anything because I didn't have children of my own. But I didn't say any of that. I just said okay and hung up. For 3 days, I slept in my car in a Target parking lot. I kept my gym membership specifically so I could shower there. I worked from coffee shops and charged my laptop wherever I could. It was humiliating and exhausting. And the whole time, my phone stayed silent. Nobody checked on me. Nobody asked if I'd found a place. On day 4, my best friend from college, Sophia, found out what was happening. I'd been too embarrassed to tell anyone, but she noticed I wasn't posting my usual design updates on social media and got worried. When I finally admitted I was homeless, she lost her mind. Are you kidding me? Get over here right now. Sophia had a 2-bedroom apartment and had just broken up with her boyfriend who'd been staying there. She gave me the 2nd bedroom and refused to let me pay rent. You're getting back on your feet, she said firmly. Save your money for your own place. Just help with groceries and utilities. I cried in her bathroom for 20 minutes. Sophia wasn't even blood-related, and she'd done more for me in 5 minutes than my entire family had done in weeks. It took me another month and a half, but I finally found a place. Nothing fancy, a small 1-bedroom in an older building about 20 minutes from downtown Los Angeles. The landlord, an older guy named George, didn't care about my credit score as much as he cared about talking to me face-to-face and getting a vibe check. I signed the lease, paid my deposits, and moved in 3 weeks ago. I didn't tell my family right away. I was still angry, and honestly, I didn't feel like I owed them an update. Eventually, Olivia found out through a mutual friend's social media post where I'd been tagged at a housewarming dinner Sophia threw for me. She texted me immediately, "You found a place? Why didn't you tell us? We were so worried." I stared at that message for a full 5 minutes. Worried? She'd been so worried that she hadn't sent a single text in 6 weeks. I responded with, "Just been busy." 2 days later, my doorbell rang at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. I stumbled to the door in my pajamas, and there was Olivia with all 3 of her kids and 2 duffel bags. "Surprise," she said cheerfully, pushing past me into my apartment. "David and Isabella are taking the twins to a water park today, and my husband Daniel and I have a couple's spa day we booked months ago. I figured since you're all settled in now, you wouldn't mind watching the kids. We'll pick them up around 6. She was already halfway out the door before I could respond. "Emily, wait. You're the best. Love you." The door shut behind her. I stood there in shock, watching through my front window as she got into her car and drove away. Chloe was already asking where the TV was. Mia had found my design tablet on the coffee table and was trying to open it. Leo was crying because he'd wanted to go to the water park, too. Something inside me snapped. I called Olivia. It went to voicemail. I called 3 more times. Voicemail. 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 I texted her, "You need to come back right now and get your kids." I did not agree to this. No response. I called David. He actually answered. Water park sounds screaming in the background. "Hey, what's up? Did you know Olivia was dropping her kids with me today?" "Oh, yeah. She mentioned you were free." "Why? Is everything okay?" "David, I'm not free. She didn't ask me, she just showed up and left." "Come on. It's just for a few hours. You don't have anything going on." "That's not the point. Look, the twins are about to go down the slide. Can we talk later?" He hung up. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. Mia had found my markers and was starting to draw on my coffee table. I redirected her to paper while trying to figure out what to do. The apartment felt smaller with 3 kids in it. Leo had stopped crying, but was now following me around, asking for snacks every 5 minutes. Chloe sat on my couch, looking guilty, like she knew something was wrong. Mia was the only one who seemed oblivious, humming to herself as she drew elaborate princesses with my expensive Copic markers. I looked around at my space, this place I'd fought so hard to get. The walls I'd carefully painted a soft sage green last weekend. The second-hand bookshelf I'd refinished myself. The small desk in the corner where I'd been building my design portfolio back up after the chaos of being homeless had derailed my work for months. This was supposed to be my sanctuary, my place to rebuild. And here was my family once again, treating it like a free daycare center. I thought about all those holidays. Really thought about them for the first time without trying to justify or minimize what had happened. There was Easter 2 years ago when I'd had a date planned with a guy I really liked, our 4th date, the one where things usually get serious. I'd mentioned it to Olivia 3 days before, excited and nervous. Then, the morning of, she called asking if I could watch the kids because she and Daniel wanted to do an Easter egg hunt at this fancy vineyard that didn't allow children under 12. It's just for a few hours, she'd said. Your date isn't until evening anyway, right? Those few hours had turned into 8. They'd gone to the vineyard, then decided to have dinner there, too, then stopped for drinks on the way home. By the time they picked up the kids, I had to cancel my date. The guy never asked me out again. I told myself it wasn't meant to be anyway. Or my 28th birthday last year. I had planned a small dinner with friends at this restaurant I'd been wanting to try. David had called the day before asking if I could watch Noah and Ethan because Isabella had somehow gotten food poisoning and he needed to take care of her. I'd said yes, of course, because that seemed like a real emergency. Except later that night, Isabella had posted Instagram stories from a wine tasting event. There was no food poisoning. They just wanted a kid-free evening and knew I'd say yes if they made up a crisis. I'd spent my 28th birthday ordering pizza for 2 7-year-olds and watching Minecraft videos on YouTube. My friends had gone to the restaurant without me, and while they'd been understanding, things had felt different after that. Like they'd stopped expecting me to actually show up to things. Then I remembered something my therapist had told me months ago when I complained about the babysitting: you teach people how to treat you. If you keep saying yes when you mean no, they'll never learn where your boundaries are. I'd never actually enforced a boundary with my family. I'd complained, sure. I'd been frustrated and resentful, but I'd always just done what they wanted in the end. I called my mom. Hi, sweetheart. What's going on? Olivia dropped her kids at my apartment without asking, and she's not answering her phone. I need you to come get them. There was a pause. What do you mean she dropped them off? I mean, she showed up at 8 o'clock in the morning, walked in with all 3 kids, and left before I could say no. Well, can't you just watch them for today? I'm meeting Carol for brunch. No. Another pause. Longer this time. Excuse me? No, Mom. I'm not watching them. I didn't agree to this. Someone needs to come get them or I'm going to have to call the police and report abandoned children. You wouldn't dare. I hung up before she could respond. My hands were shaking, but I felt weirdly calm. Leo had stopped crying and was now watching me with big, curious eyes. Are we in trouble? Chloe asked quietly. No, sweetie. You're not in trouble at all. Your mom just made a mistake and we're going to fix it. 20 minutes later, my mom called back. Your father and I are coming to get them. We'll be there in 45 minutes. Thank you. But we're going to have a serious conversation about this attitude of yours. Sure, Mom. We'll have that conversation right after we have the one about where you all were when I was sleeping in my car. She sucked in a sharp breath. That's not fair. 45 minutes. I'll have the kids ready. I hung up again. I made the kids breakfast and put on a movie to keep them occupied. Chloe kept asking questions, and I did my best to answer honestly without making Olivia look bad. It wasn't the kids' fault their mom had no respect for other people's time or boundaries. While the kids were distracted by the movie, I went into my bedroom and closed the door. My hands were still shaking from the adrenaline, but my mind felt clearer than it had in years. I sat on my bed and just breathed for a minute. I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through old text messages with my family. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I needed to confirm that I wasn't overreacting, that this pattern was real and not just in my head. There were dozens of them. Hundreds, probably. Can you watch the kids Friday? We have plans. Emergency. Need you to grab Chloe from school and keep her until 6 o'clock. Change of plans. Can you keep them overnight? We decided to make it a weekend thing. You're the best. Don't know what we'd do without you. That last one showed up a lot. Don't know what we'd do without you. But when I actually needed them? Silence. Excuses. Suddenly, they knew exactly what to do without me. They just didn't want to be inconvenienced. I found the text thread from when I'd asked about staying with them. Reading it back now made my stomach turn. Me, hey, so my situation is getting urgent. My move-out date is in 5 days. Is there any way I could stay in the basement for a week? I'll be gone during the day, job hunting and apartment searching. You won't even know I'm there. Olivia, oh, honey. I talked to Daniel about it. We really want to help, but we're going into the crazy season with the kids' activities ramping up. Chloe has soccer tryouts, Mia's starting gymnastics, and Leo is in that clingy phase. Having someone else in the house would just add to the stress. I'm sure you understand. I'd responded with, I understand. Thanks anyway. But I hadn't understood. I still didn't. How many times had I stayed there before? How many weekends had I slept on that basement couch while watching their kids so they could have their date nights and couples retreats? The basement that was suddenly too precious to share, too sacred to let me sleep in during an actual crisis. I checked David's messages, too. Me, David, I hate to ask, but I'm running out of options. Could I possibly crash in your guest room for a few days? A week at most. David, man, that's a tough one. Isabella's mom might be coming to visit soon, and she always uses that room. Plus, you know how Isabella is about her routines. Having someone else here would throw everything off. Have you tried looking into extended stay hotels? Some of them have weekly rates that aren't too bad. Extended stay hotels. He'd suggested I drain my savings on an extended stay hotel instead of letting me sleep in a room that sat empty 350 days a year. The movie in the living room had gotten louder. Some action sequence with lots of explosions. I could hear Mia laughing. Leo was asking Chloe what was happening. Normal kid sounds. Sweet sounds, actually. I love these kids. That was the worst part of all of this. I genuinely loved being their aunt. I loved Mia's creativity and Leo's silly questions and Chloe's thoughtful observations about the world. I loved Noah's obsession with dinosaurs and Ethan's talent for making up songs about absolutely everything. This wasn't about them. It had never been about them. It was about their parents forgetting that I was a whole person with a whole life. It was about being valued only for what I could provide, never for who I was. My parents arrived exactly 45 minutes later. My dad looked uncomfortable. My mom looked furious. Girls, boys, get your things, Mom said tightly. We're going to Grandma and Grandpa's house. The kids gathered their stuff. Mia gave me a hug before leaving, which almost broke my resolve, but I held firm. After they left, my dad lingered in the doorway. You know this is going to cause problems. It already was a problem, Dad. You all just didn't care because it wasn't your problem. He opened his mouth, closed it, then just nodded and left. For the next 3 hours, my phone exploded. Olivia called 6 times, left 4 voicemails, and sent 17 texts ranging from, "How could you do this to me?" to "We had those spa appointments for months," to "You're so selfish." I listened to one of the voicemails out of morbid curiosity. "Emily, what the hell? My whole day is ruined. Do you know how hard it is to get a spa appointment? Daniel and I never get time alone, and you couldn't do this one thing? I do everything for those kids. I'm exhausted. And the one time I asked for help, the one time you pulled this. Mom said you threatened to call the police on your own family. That's insane, Emily. You're being absolutely insane. Call me back right now." The one time. She'd actually said the one time. I deleted the voicemail and didn't listen to the others. David texted, "Really? You couldn't just help out for one day? You made everyone stay harder." My mom sent a long message about family obligations and how disappointed she was in me. But there were other messages, too. Ones I hadn't expected. My cousin Ava, who I hadn't talked to in months, sent, "I heard what happened. Good for you. Seriously, they've been taking advantage of you for years." My Uncle Mark, my dad's brother, texted, "Your mom called me complaining. I told her you were right. Don't back down, kiddo." Even Olivia's husband, Daniel, sent me a message. "I didn't know she was just dropping them off without asking. That wasn't cool. I'm sorry." That last one surprised me the most. Daniel had always been nice enough, but we'd never been particularly close. The fact that he was willing to admit Olivia had been wrong meant something. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I sat down and wrote out everything I needed to say, every feeling I'd swallowed, every time I'd been taken advantage of, every moment I'd felt invisible and unimportant. I wrote for 2 hours, then I sent it in the family group chat. I need to say some things, and I need you all to actually listen instead of making excuses or talking over me like you usually do. For 7 years, I've been your free child care service. I've missed countless plans, dates, opportunities, and experiences because I was expected to drop everything whenever any of you needed a babysitter. I never complained because I love my nieces and nephews, and I wanted to be a good aunt and family member. But here's what you all seem to forget. My time matters, too. My life matters, too. Just because I don't have children doesn't mean my existence is less valuable or that my plans are less important. I have a career, friendships, and goals that matter to me. 6 weeks ago, I lost my apartment through no fault of my own. I asked each of you for a place to stay for 1 week. Not a month, not indefinitely. 1 week while I figured out my next move, and every single one of you said no. You all had your reasons, your schedules, your space, your comfort. All valid reasons that I accepted even though they hurt. But do you know where I ended up? Sleeping in my car in a parking lot for 3 days. Showering at the gym, working from coffee shops because I had nowhere else to go. And none of you checked on me. Not one call, not one text asking if I was okay or if I'd found a place. The person who helped me wasn't any of you. It was my friend Sophia who gave me her spare room and wouldn't let me pay rent until I got back on my feet. Someone who isn't even related to me cared more about my well-being than my own family did. This morning, Olivia showed up at my apartment without asking, left her 3 kids here, and ignored my calls and texts. David knew about it and didn't see a problem. Mom tried to guilt me into just dealing with it. And when I finally set a boundary and said no, suddenly I'm the bad guy. Suddenly I'm selfish. Here's the truth, I'm done. I'm done being taken for granted. I'm done being treated like my time doesn't matter. I'm done being the family doormat who's supposed to smile and be grateful for the opportunity to serve everyone else. If you want me to babysit going forward, you're going to ask me with at least 48 hours notice, and you're going to respect my answer if I say no. My no is not a negotiation. It's not an invitation for guilt trips or manipulation. It's a complete sentence. If you need help during an actual emergency, I'll be there. Medical crisis? I'm there. Genuine, unexpected situation? I'll help. But your spa day is not an emergency. Your date night is not an emergency. Your desire to sleep in on Saturday is not an emergency. I love you all, but I need you to start showing me the same respect and consideration you show each other. If you can't do that, then we need to seriously reevaluate what kind of relationship we're going to have moving forward. I'm turning off notifications for this chat for the next 24 hours. If there's a real emergency, call me. Otherwise, take some time to think about what I've said. I hit send and immediately turned off my notifications like I promised. My hands were still shaking, but it was from adrenaline, not fear. 24 hours later, I checked my phone. There were 127 unread messages in the family chat. I almost didn't read them. Part of me wanted to just delete the whole thread and move on with my life. But I was curious. Most of the messages were exactly what I expected. Olivia was angry, calling me dramatic and saying I'd ruined her special day. David said I was being sensitive and that family helps family, rich coming from him. A few of my cousins chimed in with various versions of yikes and stayed out of it. But there were a few messages that surprised me. My dad wrote, "Your mother and I have been talking. You're right that we should have helped you when you needed a place to stay. I'm sorry we let you down. That wasn't okay." My Aunt Lisa, who I barely ever heard from, wrote, "I had no idea this was happening. I'm sorry they've been mistreating you this way. You deserve better." And then at the very end, there was a message from Olivia from earlier that morning, "Can we talk? Just you and me?" I thought about it for a while. Part of me wanted to just ignore her, but another part of me remembered that this was still my sister and maybe, just maybe, something could change. I texted back, "The daily grind, Tuesday at 2 p.m. And Olivia, I'm serious about the boundaries. This is your chance to show me you actually heard what I said." She responded immediately, "I'll be there." Tuesday came and I got to the coffee shop 15 minutes early. I needed the time to center myself and remember that I wasn't doing anything wrong by standing up for myself. Olivia arrived right on time, which was unusual for her. She always ran late to everything. She looked tired, and for the first time in years, I saw her without makeup. She looked younger, somehow, more like the sister I'd grown up with before kids and suburban life had changed her. We ordered our drinks and sat down. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Finally, Olivia said, "I owe you an apology." I waited. I'd learned that sometimes the best response is no response. When I read your message, I was so angry. I thought you were being dramatic and selfish. I called Mom and complained for like an hour. But then Daniel, he asked me when the last time was that I'd actually asked you to babysit instead of just telling you. And I couldn't remember because I don't think I ever have. She looked down at her coffee. And then he asked me what I would have done if you'd showed up at our house the way I showed up at yours. If you just dropped by and expected me to drop all my plans to accommodate you. And I realized. I would have been furious. I would have thought it was incredibly rude and entitled. "It was rude and entitled," I said quietly. "I know. I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry." Her eyes were getting red. "And I'm sorry about when you needed a place to stay. We could have made it work. The basement was just full of the kids' toys and old furniture, but we could have cleaned it out. I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want the inconvenience. But you expected me to deal with inconvenience constantly." "Yes. And that's not okay. You're right. Just because you don't have kids doesn't mean your time and life don't matter. I think I just got so used to you always saying yes that I stopped seeing you as a person with your own needs. You were just the babysitter, and that's horrible. We sat there for a while and I let her words sink in. This was what I'd needed to hear for years. I don't want to lose you as a sister, Olivia continued. But I understand if you need space from me. I need to do better. We all do. I don't want to lose you either, I said. But things have to change. Really change. Not just for a week until everyone forgets about this. They will. I promise. I'm going to talk to David, too. What we did was wrong. We talked for another hour, and it felt like the first real conversation we'd had in years. She told me about her struggles with feeling overwhelmed as a mom, and I told her about my struggles with feeling invisible in the family. Neither of our feelings canceled out the other. They both existed, and they both mattered. Before we left, Olivia said, "So, I know this is really bad timing, but I have to ask. Daniel's company is having a dinner thing next month and our usual babysitter can't make it. Is there any chance," I gave her a look, "that I could ask you with 3 weeks' notice if you would be willing to watch the kids that night? And if you say no, I will totally understand and find someone else." I laughed despite myself. See, that's the right way to do it. Let me check my calendar and get back to you. Thank you. Really? We hugged in the parking lot, and it felt genuine in a way our hugs hadn't felt in a long time. Things didn't magically become perfect after that. David took longer to come around. He sent me a half-hearted "sorry you felt that way" text that I ignored until he sent a better apology 2 weeks later. My mom is still a work in progress. She struggles with understanding boundaries and occasionally makes passive-aggressive comments about how families used to support each other more. But things are better. Olivia has asked me to babysit exactly 3 times in the past 5 months, each time with plenty of notice and genuine acceptance when I said no twice. David and Isabella actually hired a regular babysitter and stopped expecting family to constantly be available. Last month was Thanksgiving, and for the first time in 7 years, I sat at the adult table for the entire meal. I ate prime rib and drank wine and participated in conversations. The kids were entertained by a rotation of adults who took turns. And nobody expected me to sacrifice my entire holiday. After dinner, Chloe came and sat next to me on the couch. "Aunt Emily?" "Yeah, sweetie? Are you not mad at us anymore?" My heart squeezed. "I was never mad at you, Chloe. I love you so much. But you were mad at Mommy." "Yeah, I was. But we talked about it and things are better now." She nodded. "Seriously? Good. I like it better when you're here with us instead of in the other room." "Me too, kiddo." "Me, too." Sophia came to Thanksgiving dinner, too. I'd insisted on it, since she'd been more family to me than my actual family during my hardest time. She fit right in. And by the end of the night, my dad was showing her his old photo albums and Mom was getting her number to send recipes. As we drove home that night, Sophia said, "You know, I'm really proud of you." "For what?" "For standing up for yourself." I know that was hard. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but also the best thing. That's usually how it works. I'm still learning how to maintain boundaries. Sometimes I slip up and say yes when I mean no, and then I have to backtrack. But I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at remembering that my needs matter, that my time is valuable, and that being a good family member doesn't mean being a doormat. My apartment is still small and it's still not fancy, but it's mine and it's safe, and nobody can take that away from me. I've started dating someone new, a guy named Michael, who I actually have time to see because I'm not constantly babysitting. My design business is growing because I have energy to put into it. Life isn't perfect. My family still has their moments of falling back into old patterns. But the difference now is that I don't let them. I speak up immediately. I say no without guilt. And slowly, they're learning to respect that. The other day, Olivia called me just to chat, not to ask for anything, not to need something, just to talk. We spent an hour on the phone catching up on each other's lives, and it reminded me why I fought so hard to keep this relationship. Family is complicated. Love is complicated. But respect shouldn't be. And I'm glad I finally learned that lesson, even if it took me sleeping in my car to figure it out. Someone asked me recently if I regret how I handled everything. If I wish I'd been less dramatic or confrontational. Honestly, no. Not even a little bit. Because here's what I've learned: being kind doesn't mean being quiet. Being loving doesn't mean being used. And being family doesn't give anyone the right to treat you like you're disposable. I gave them a reality check that day when I refused to babysit. But really, I gave myself one, too. I'd spent years convincing myself that my feelings didn't matter as much as keeping the peace. Years of swallowing resentment and anger because I didn't want to rock the boat. But some boats need to be rocked. Some peace isn't worth keeping. And some reality checks are long overdue. My phone buzzes with a text from Olivia: movie night this Friday. Adults only. No kids allowed. Just want to hang out with my sister. I smile and type back: sounds perfect. See you then. Progress. Finally. Have you ever had to draw a line in the sand with your own family?